What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin back with another graphic novel review. Today I'm reviewing Marvel Comics The 12, which is a graphic novel by J. Michael Straczynski and with art by Chris Weston. Yeah, this is Volume 1, which collects 6 issues. Right, you can see all 12 characters at the back. And yeah, this graphic, I guess the comic was originally from 2008. This goes for $25 US, $26.50 Canadian. I forget how much I paid for this. I think it was around. I think I had. I don't know where I put the price. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, this is basically it reminded me a lot of the Avenger. It's like, it reminded me a lot of Project Dynamite's Project Superpowers, right? Which I was a huge fan of. I even have the Black Terror miniseries, which was about like a bunch of Golden Age superheroes who were basically frozen in time, wake up, and find themselves in the present. So it's a very similar premise here, where you have like 12 superheroes. Well, one of them's a robot. Were frozen by the German soldiers in World War II, and were resurrected in modern times, right? And some of these characters are actually, I'll go through them. You have the Mastermind Excello, who was actually a Golden Age superhero, right? We reviewed him in Mystic Comics Volume 1. You have Mr. E. You have Electro the Robot, which I think is based off Elasto, the rubber robot from Mystic Comics. You have Blue Blade. You have the Phantom Reporter, who's like the main character. You have Rockman. You have Dynamic Man, who was an actual Marvel Golden Age superhero from Mystic Comics. You have Captain Wonder, Black Widow, which was another one, Fiery Mask, The Witness, and Laughing Mask, right? And they really wanted to give you that pulp, like pulp comics feel with the like printed tears, and the fact that they're like, oh, it's a thrilling novel of tomorrow, right? Which a lot of the old Golden Age comics would have, like, oh, it's like novel length, right? Right? So yeah, it starts off with our characters in World War II. You get cameos by Captain America, Nick Fury, right? Namor, Human Torch. You have Bucky here, right? Here's Dynamic Man, looking like crazy as hell. They really wanted you to hate Dynamic Man. So the book starts off with our 12 heroes being led by Mastermind Excello, which, if you remember my Mystic Comics review, one of his powers, which wasn't really a power, is that, well, here it's a power, but he's so smart that he knows where he needs to be, right? So here he leads these group of superheroes to go and find some, hidden SS officers, right? And he accidentally leads them into a trap where they get gassed by the SS officers and get knocked out, right? And then get frozen in stasis, and these soldiers and scientists were gonna wait out the war in the bunker, right? And use the superheroes as a basis to create more to make the actual master race. And here's the funny scene where the guy is like groping Black Widow's boob. But yeah, their plan ended up not working when the Berlin Wall was put up, and they found themselves in East Berlin, right? So yeah, they wake up in modern day when excavation machine ends up falling falling through the hidden bunker, right? Yeah, and they get woken up by this general guy, who this is all going on during Marvel Comics Civil War, where you have the Superhuman Registration Act, right? So this guy's like, oh, since these soldiers came from a time, since these superheroes came from a time when most people were patriotic Americans, you know, he decides to wake them up and, you know, basically kind of get them to register under the Superhuman Registration Act and have them, like, basically be used as like a unit of superhuman superheroes, right? And you even have the Captain America thing where, like, you know, they wake up and they think they're back in 1940, right? But they think Phantom Reporter realized something's wrong when the radio only plays good music and no commercials, right? Which even, like, I'm subscribed to this YouTube channel, the Late Horror Show, who posts, like, old radio shows, and they even have commercials in the old radio shows, because, like, yeah, the U.S. military was slacking off, right? He realized something's wrong with the radio, and the fact that the woman has, like, there's no garters with her stockings, right? So that's weird. So they realize something's up. So they attempt to flee, but he realized something up when he takes money from the card game and sees that one of the coins says 2008, right? And the Captain Wonder flies out and sees, oh, it's modern day. So yeah, they get told what's going on, and are told that, hey, they'll stay in the house for like 2 weeks, right? And then they can decide either if they want to sign up with the U.S. military or go their own way, right? And you have this flash forward where you see Phantom Reporter in a more modern costume finding Blue Blade dead, right? Yeah, Blue Blade dead, right? So yeah, what ends up going on is, like, so you have some of the characters like Blue Blade want to capitalize on their newfound fame, while you have other characters are lost in the modern day because their kids are dead, their family's dead, or want nothing to do with them, right? Right? Like Captain Wonder, his family is dead, so he's lost, right? You have, like, Mastermind Excello's going crazy because of his superpowers. It's too loud. It's too loud outdoors because all the radio waves, all electricity. So he leaves to go. Turns out he was so smart that he figured out that something like this might happen. So he put his money in secret Swiss bank account with huge interest. So he's set for life, right? Yeah. So yeah, you have Dynamic Man, who's, if you remember Dynamic Man's backstory from my Mystic Comics review, he was supposed to be a man of the future, right? So he's not. So he is going through his own thing where at first he's like, I don't care. I was born to be in the future, right? So he starts doing superhero work, only to figure out the future is not so great, right? Right. There's a scene where, like, you know, there's a montage of him saving people, only for this to happen, where he goes to stop a purse snatcher when he realized, what are you doing? That's my husband. The guy was chasing the guy who stole my purse. Put him down. Your husband. What? So he's like, fuck this, leaves. Oh, and if people remember Black Widow's backstory, her powers come from her deal with the devil, so she's tormented about that, right? You have the thing where there's the thing going on with Rockman where, you know, I'm not even going to say his thing, right? Here's Mr. E goes to visit his son and wife, only for his son to tell him to go F off because he hid the fact that he was Jewish, right? And calls him a coward and everything, right? And this is where, okay, there are some offensive terms that they use in this story, right? So yeah, so by the way, I kind of found this offensive because, you know, my family my ancestors were Jewish people who immigrated to a country, changed their last names, changed their last names and adopted the local religion, which was Catholicism. So according to this guy, my ancestors were cowards. So it's like, hey, I don't know. Also, there's this scene where, like, the Phantom Reporter gets a job offer from a guy from the Daily Bugle to write his perspective on living in modern times from some guy who lived in the past. And this is where he shits on everything he believes in, right? And his outdated, like, you know, methods, ideals and shit. It's like, we don't live in a world of black and white. We live in a world of grays, right? you have your outdated motions or whatever. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? I would have told the guy to go fuck himself, right? Also, there's a thing where Laughing Mask, who kind of, I was getting, like, if you ignore his shitty costume, I was getting the Shadow vibes from him, right? But yeah, he goes to, like, you know, he goes to fight modern crime and ends up getting his guns confiscated, right, by the cops, and he gets thrown in jail at the end of the book because his guns tied him to a murder that he did, right, in 1940, right? So yeah, there's also stories where, like, you know, characters give his backstory. You have a thing where, like, Dynamic Man tries to tell, like, Captain Wonder, hey, you need to man up. Like, yeah, your family's gone, but we need to move forward, right? Yeah, so, like, here's, like, what's his name in jail. Here's Captain Wonder. Captain Wonder decides to go and, like, give, like, you know, a speech, right, to, like, you know, a motivational speech to, like, young kids, only for the young kids to tell them, hey, man, we're out in the streets shooting each other. Fuck your American dream shit, right? And then, like, Captain Wonder takes what's his name's advice to basically, like, oh, like, you know, get back to work being a superhero, right? There's also a scene where Dynamic Man fights a giant robot in a gay neighborhood, gets invited by the local people to go and have a drink, only for one of them to pat him on the behind, right? And the dude calls him, you know, something because of his tight outfit, and he flies off, right? Yeah. And here you get the true backstory of Rockman, who told everybody he's this king from an underground kingdom, but he was actually a miner, right? Yeah. So I'm just going to go with my likes and dislikes for the book, right? So I like the art. The book is well written, and the story, the characters are well written, the dialogue is well written, everything's well written. Now to get into my dislikes. So obviously this book is trying to be like a comic book deconstruction, right, of old golden age, like, you know, superheroes, right? While at the same time being a part of the modern Marvel Comics, you know, continuity, right? Because they reference the Superhuman Registration Act, right? So they're going around. You have our characters going around telling their wacky backstories, right? Only for people that shit on them. When at the same time you have the modern, you still have like the Silver Age superheroes, like the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, the Avengers going around doing shit that have their own wacky, that have, origin stories that are just as wacky, right? So yeah, it's a little weird that they took this like realistic approach to this story when it takes place in the modern continuity. So that was weird. The story, besides from being a drama, isn't really going anywhere. So it's like hard for me to review this book when the book this book honestly should have been printed in like a single volume, right? Because it's a 12 issue miniseries, right? And well, I don't know if 12 issues is considered like a miniseries, but it's 12 issues, and I feels like I only read like the first, I basically feel like I only watched the first half of a movie or read the first half of a book, right? I don't have the full story, right? So it's like really hard to review this book and recommend it because it's like I don't have the second volume. So it's like, it's the thing where it's like I would say, okay, it's it's the thing where I like the book, but yeah, it didn't really go. Not a lot really happened, really, honestly. And the only thing that they were leading up to, and here's the thing where they were like in the start of issue 2, they're like, oh, one of their guys gets murdered, right? We're like halfway through the series, and that hasn't happened yet. So what the fuck is like the end of the book going to be like them solving Blue Blade's murder? Like, okay, Blue Blade was not that interesting of a character, and honestly, who cares? So there was some foreshadowing where near the end of the book, like Mastermind Excel, tries to call Phantom Reporter and tell him, hey, I know why we're here. Like, what, because part of his powers is like he knows our, people's destinies, where they need to be, right? Even though that wasn't his thing in the original comics. Because I read the old Mastermind Excel book comics. Also, I didn't like the fact that they were making, Dynamic Man. Like, they were trying to make Dynamic Man look like an asshole, like an evil Superman, when really he's not. Besides from being kind of coming off like an arrogant asshole, he's not really doing anything wrong. So yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I'm somewhere between a 6 or a 7, so I think I'll give it a 6.5 out then. Maybe it gets better in the second volume. I don't know. Right, and also, look at this. Here's a cover for issue 0. What the fuck is issue 0? So was there an issue 0 and it didn't come in volume 1? What the fuck? So that's bullshit. And here you have them reading Daring Comics, which was another Golden Age comic series, right? Like along with Mystic Comics. So maybe some of these characters are real Golden Age comics characters and they came from Daring Comics. I don't know. I haven't read any Daring Comics stuff. I was going to, but the guy, my local comic book shop guy, sold it. So, I didn't buy it fast enough. So yeah, that's it for this review, guys. My next, you know what? I'll let you guys decide. Would you guys want a Green Hornet review, or would you like Project Superpowers? Which, in my opinion, don't read this. Read Project Superpowers. Way better. Yeah, let me know. Do you want a Green Hornet review, or do you want a Project Superpowers